there is this mentality that society has that it is okay for a man to cheat. You've been having your cake and you've been eating it.
So you are
Sahi
revenging.
tumeingia sasa sisi wa mama, sisi wanawake. Sasa tumeingia sasa kuwa we are serving you back.
Let's face it, wadau. Are we witnessing the end of marriage as an institution? A woman will leave a man, the man who bought her a car, for the man who helped her change the tire.
Yes. A woman has a way of going for the best at the right time. Wacha kusema ati maneno ya red flag.
Our guest for this episode, Venas Cheno, is a psychologist, and her counter-arguments about the narratives and opinions about the modern woman are interesting. Then that means in a year, she gets hit on by 3,650 men in total. That's, we are talking cumulatively. Are you following the mathematics?
I am following.
So the question he posed was, can you a woman say no 3,650 times?
Well, let me first ask you a question.
We have a follow-up for this conversation in a round-table discussion, but the fire begins today.
Let me tell you, and this is naogopa naweza dungwa mishale hapa, but let me say this. One of the main reasons women cheat.
Venas Cheno is the founder of the Myndspa, an organization dedicated to combating mental health issues. And today, we dive into one of the major causes of mental health, character development.
Nilisikia mtu mmoja alikuja hapa akasema aliregret because alilipa dowry and then maybe the marriage did not work. So if you are going just for this one thing, it will never make sense for you. And that is why such statements are made. Now, besides pleasure,
Wadau, kama uko na kabiting kako kaheshima, you wanna meet in a place neatly designed, corporate, inakuwa na very good vibes, a classic working environment. Usiaikosa nafasi kama Wojo iko hapa hill. They have a package for you, hata kama ni just a meeting for a day. Get in touch na hizi contact details tumekuwekea hapa kwa screen. I'm your host, Dr. Kingori, and here's another reason to stay subscribed to our channel. Kama hauja subscribe, this right here is another good reason to hit subscribe and turn on the notifications bell. I'll go straight to a narrative yenye people tend to believe now. It's a rhetoric that has been repeated on different platforms. And I'd like to hear what you think about the idea that marriage is a raw deal for men.
Now, it's an idea. I like the way you have come through.
Yes.
It's an idea.
Okay.
But not the truth.
It's an idea.
Not the truth. And, as a psychologist, we love to analyze. Scientists are all about research and all that, yeah? But can I say, my way of looking at things is to refer to how it was at the beginning. And someone told me, if you really want to understand God's mind, go and understand what happened in the Garden of Eden. So the question is, why did he see that Adam cannot survive alone? That is the question, because now I want to use that perspective in terms of kind of like ndio tuelekee vizuri. So why was it that God himself, the creator, felt that this man cannot be alone, and he said it. So he decided to make the woman. And the reason why this person is called the woman is because she has come from the man. Okay? Now, people do life. People experience things. People go through a lot. And allow me to bring in the issue of trauma, the issue of the environment. Now, one of the reasons why a man would say that they don't want to get married, or they would look at marriage in a very different way, is because probably in their early childhood, they went through serious issues, serious trauma that altered how they perceive relationships. I'll give a very good example. Think of a child who has been brought up in a family where now the woman beats the husband. We have those, yeah? So this boy literally anaona baba yake akichapwa na mwanamke. How do you expect this boy to ever want to be in a marriage? Yet the trauma has stuck in their mind. So when people are coming with these ideas that marriage is not good, there's the environment where these people were shaped in. And this environment has directly or indirectly contributed to the trauma. You get it? And the trauma can also be extended to many other things. All right? Then allow me to just tusisahau vitu ya social media sahi. I mean, squeezy, we are all gadget, whatever, addicts. And just kwa hii simu, there's so much influence. The other day I went to see a friend of mine. Akaniintroduce kwa mtoto wake. And I was like, hi. So, mtoto wacha aongee kizungu ingine. Yeah, my name is Sijo Wawa. And I'm like, at what point did you guys move like to the States? Because mtoto anatoa the wings.
Yes,
but do you know, the Nickelodeons and whatever. So this child has been shaped just by sitting in front of a TV. And even the way she talks has been borrowed from that. So what I want to say is that a lot of the men, because it is the men who are on this agenda, a lot of these men are borrowing from the pains and the stories that have been foretold about marriages that don't work, women who have hurt them, and all that. So they get into a place of fear. And you see, this is just coming from influence that has come from social media. So there are many things, but one thing that mi wanga nasema is, watu wajaribu kuelewa mtu anatoka wapi. By the time I'm talking about something, I have studied, unaelewa. So by the time we unasema marriage is not for me, there is a reason behind that, and that is what we need to capture. So you having gone through trauma should not influence me, who is okay, but sasa vile umekuwa so strong na me I've gone through this nini, sasa you rub it on me. And that is what we are seeing right now. A lot of rubbing of information from one person to the other.
That's from a psychological perspective, and many people would be inclined to believe in your submission on that, in that line. But there's also the concept of marriage is a raw deal from a systemic point, okay? When a marriage ends, I think, and we'll quote him a lot, and we will answer him a lot. To quote Jacob Elliott, hacha tumuite sensei wa hiyo department.
Okay, sawa.
He says that divorce rewards women and punishes men. Okay? From a systemic perspective, it's a raw deal for men, don't you think?
I don't think so.
Why?
Again, I will take you back to history. And allow me to talk from the experience I have as a psychologist and as a counselor who sits in with couples and tries to salvage the marriage when everyone is throwing in the towel and saying, I am not going to be in this marriage because of 1, 2, 3 things. Now, statistically, let me say this. It is the women who book for the sessions. It is rare to find a man calling me. In fact, in my years of counseling, I think nimepigwa na watu kaa 5 wanaume. The rest, you'll think of it almost, I don't know how many years. Wanawake.
The same statistics that say that 70% of divorces are initiated by
women.
Yes.
Yes. Now I was coming to why. Now, you as a woman, and let's first understand how women think. I have said this over and over again. Women think with their hearts. Men think with their minds. It's a rule, it's a principle, it's a law.
You had to point mind. When it comes to men.
Sahi, kuna vile, why you're taking that coffee? Mimi, for me, it is therapy. We are seated here, but your motive and my motive is very different. Okay? So the same way, when it comes to the marriage, women operate from how you make them feel, while the man will operate from, I am ticking boxes. Nimelipa school fees, nimefanya hii. Lakini ujue kulipa school fees, kutafuta hii pesa, you are away half the time.
Now, business owners and manufacturers deserve to be celebrated for the role they play in creating employment in this country. Now, for this reason, how about some good news that will make your work as a manufacturer smoother? Let me tell you about Odoo, a software with all the necessary tools for the day-to-day running of your business. As a manufacturer, Odoo makes it easy for you to manage everything from production, warehousing, lots and serial numbers, dispatch, all connected to your other operations like invoicing, HR, and accounting. That's Odoo for you. Imagine the amount of time and money you stand to save with this. The amount of stress and headaches you get to forego, not worrying about compliance, wastage, mistakes in production, and many other bottlenecks kwa biashara yako ya manufacturing. How do I start, you may ask? It's very easy. If you have a business and it's time to streamline everything to maximum efficiency, tafadhali tumia hii link tumekuwekea hapa kwa description ya hii video. Book a meeting with an Odoo expert today. And it's free and you get to choose your own timings. If you're a small business owner looking to level up your business, you can start with any one app on Odoo because your first app on Odoo is free, including hosting and support. My suggestion, start with a modern, stunning website. Now it's so simple, so fast, you don't even need technical skills. Just drag and drop blocks and add your own content. You will also get a free custom domain for the first year. Wadau, tuanzeni kuweka biashara fiti. Get started for free or even book that meeting with an Odoo expert. Link ndio tumekuwekea hapa kwa description.
Now, depending also on your personality, because there's a lot of dynamics that goes into relationships. Maybe personality yako si malavidavi, and then ulinioa mimi ni mtu nataka tu, oh hi honey, niko tu kwa TikTok na kufuadianga tu vitu za love hivi, you're not getting the hint. And eventually I see you as failing in that role. I will submit to you, a lot of women, and you can take this to the bank, leave these men because there is no emotional connection. It is not about provision per se. I know a sensei has been big on like, job ikiisha.
Yes.
No. I want to bring in, because this is a view that has been typically put maybe on the middle class and probably, but what about the people who are in the lower class? We una hustle, bwanako ana hustle, mnakutania home and you're living well.
In his theory of hypergamy, a theory he subscribed to, he says that the woman is just there because she has not accessed the next level.
That's his theory. That's his way of thinking. It's the theory of
hypergamy.
Yes,
like women were built survivors.
Yes. But the truth is that women can survive in any situation as long as they feel protected, as long as they feel safe.
So you can survive in this environment because you feel protected, despite you seeing an area that you'll be protected more.
So why is there a gap? You've brought in, you're protected here, but you can be protected. It means then for you as a man, kuna mahali tu ujafika. Remember, life is, can I say, comes in a circle. We talk about the wheel of life. Sawa. In this wheel of life, hata ukikuja nikufanyia life coaching na kuambia let's assess your career, let's assess your health, let's assess your relationships, let's assess your spirituality. Yani, we assess because it makes what we call the holistic balance. Sawa. So when you talk about a gap, then it means kwa hii circle kuna mali imeumwa, and that is where unakutanga na kuacha nitenda kwa ule mtu feel hiyo place. But most of the time, it is about the feeling.
Which that example you've given of someone, you will go for someone who will feel the bite. Is this the same theory? Yeah. What people say, that a woman will leave a man, the man who bought her a car, for the man who helped her change the tire.
Yes. And it is about protection, dominance. Sensei anakuanga is very big on, he likes talking about the alphas. Alphas are protectors. Unapata mtu pale amechange akona oil. Anakuonesha ishi mengine muscle ndio hizo nini. Na iyo mubabas is there ako kule ana swing to miguu akombe alinunua car but he is very comfortable, not bothered. Have you ever asked yourself why women have to take their cars to the garage? Wewe utakaje home bibi yako amepeleka gari kwa garage?
I thought you guys want equality. Hakuna
maneno equality, and I'll tell you this. By the time unaamka unapeleka hiyo gari kwa garage, umeona hapa hii gari ta break down anytime. And because you know your person, for your mental health, you decide, let me take up the responsibility. And that is why you find that the alpha, I want us to look at the types, the male types that are there. Alphas are almost like the perfect fit for any family or any woman. Why? Because number one, their level of confidence. Number two, they know how to provide and provide well. Number three, they know how to protect. Na ikikuja kwa praise, hizo ndio vitu mwanamke ana need. So wewe, yes, you're intelligent, you're successful, you're also maybe confident, but you have something that supersedes this. Pride, ignorance, because when people get into marriages, Doc, they normally must grow. Anything that doesn't grow, hata hizi flowers ziko hapa, zilikuja zikiwa different. Anything that doesn't grow dies. So, when you meet someone, unajua huyu ni mtu wangu, you love each other, the way, unajua pali mnaanza, but as you progress, there must be change. So if I got married to you because you're so romantic, but you're faulting in the finances, we need to go back to the drawing table and assess ourselves. How can we grow together? Your weakness is this is my weakness. So what do we need? Okay, you get a financial coach, ndio akufundishe nini me, so that you're moving together, trying to seal those gaps. Because those gaps, those cracks, as you continue, ndio zinakujanga kufanya nini? Zinakuwa wide. Na zikisha kuwa wide, Johnny Bravo anaingililia pale katikati. Ujue Johnny Bravo ni mtu ako muscled and all that. So at the end of the day, women love to see men who can assure them in terms of, first of all, I repeat, protection, praise, and provision. The 3 P's.
Kuna point tumeacha hapa nyuma, and we are still tuko bado tuko raw deal. But how justifiable is it for someone to make the sacrifice of buying you a car, and this will play below someone who does a gesture on the whole car? As in, how is this justifiable?
Hey, please. Wacha nikwambie, unaweza kumenibaya gari juu you're a billionaire. Gari ni nini kwako? Yes. Pesa kwako ni kama maji. So ni kufungua tap inatoa drop, umenibaya vits. And then now you're using it against me. Okay, ride with me in that car. Don't just buy for me. There's once I had a client alikuja kaniambia, me I've come here because you know what, we do life well. I don't know what. But imagine the other day I called my hubby. I really wanted to have this conversation with him, and then he just told me, nimekutumia pesa. Go do shopping. That is therapy. I have to go for this meeting, so I cannot be available. So, if you want to use material things to seal an emotion, it will never work.
And it is from the same gender that you represent, where the phrase comes, or not the whole, but there is a believable phrase that broke men should not have a girlfriend. You understand? So you can, this is direct attachment of the material and affection.
Sasa hiyo mtu alifanya hiyo statement, we need to also assess their history, because kuna pali wanatoka na hiyo statement. Let me tell you, a broke man has all the time in the world to think of how he can love his woman, how he can compensate. Kama una do, ndio utamkuta pale anakuambia, let me just come and change your tire, akona time yako. But mtu akona pesa, they're always thinking of investing. You always have this corporate uko meetings. Hauna time.
Isn't this okay? If you hey, Lord. There's justifiable and this data is verifiable. Yeah, most cases where a woman earns more than a man, the man sees fire. Most cases. Okay? So he says you have nothing, just your confidence and time to change tires na nini. What's the difference between you and the gardener?
Sasa, let me tell you, the man will see fire if he has brought all the other core conditions that require dem akistrike tu hivi alipuke na hiyo moto. You get it? Like basically, there are those conditions that build up to this fire happening. You can be a broke man, but you are compensating things. You're doing things that would allow your woman to think through. Anajiambia, ni kitu tu moja, ni do peke yake ndio hana. I am going to, and I'm telling you, statistically, look around. There are so many women actually in this age we are living at, who are supporting their men. So many. So watu wache kusema ati a broke man should not have a girlfriend. A broke man has time to be intimate with the wife. A broke man, wengine you're in business trip, umeenda New York, umeenda sijui trips za 25 hours. Ukifika hata una time ya WhatsApp your wife. Broke man hata pesa ya ndudhi ana. Si hata kungoja hapo tu, babes, I'm here. Unapata amekupikia. So sometimes I feel that lack heightens, and allow me to use the physical analogy. My dad is visually handicapped, and this guy is a genius. Like, other things have been heightened in him, and you will see even on social media places where you find someone akona upungufu wa kitu, lakini they can do so much more than someone mwenye ako whole. It is the theory that applies across. Sometimes this man or this person we are calling the broke man has heightened strength that now compensates. Now, for a woman to leave a broke man, kuna kuanga tu na kitu yenye, kuna tu shida yenye sasa haiwezi tatuliwa.
For a woman
shida
to
kama
leave a broke
maybe
man,
he was too idle, akakatia best friend yake. Sawa, hizo ni vitu, hizo ni dhambi hatuwezi forgive. Unaelewa? And remember, these vitu zenye zinafanyanga anaachwa, they has to be, most of the time zinakuanga connected to how they have made that woman feel. But any other thing than that, I can tell you, because I am representing my gender. Sometimes unasemanga afadhali upande kwa nduthi than kulilia kwa Mercedes.
Sawa. So now, this is a fact, and I believe Jacob Aliet qualified this statement properly. Systemically, divorce, ulisema, it is women who try their best to salvage marriages, okay? But divorce punishes men and rewards women, right? True or false?
It's true.
So would you say that in this case it qualifies marriage as a raw deal for men?
No.
Under these circumstances?
No, it doesn't. Men are punished because of so many things, or rather, they feel punished. And the system also punishes them because by the time you're being left, there are many accusations that may be true, partly true, some may be false, but at the end of the day, you are missing on one thing. You're, can I say, maintaining or defending your role as the man or the husband in that space. So for you, because men are very egoistic, one of the biggest laws is nilishindwa. Because if I'm the one asking for the divorce, and maybe you never saw it coming, it gives you damage. I've seen men become suicidal because waliachwa. Okay? So the society views you in a certain way. And that is why hii community tuko nayo ya masochist wamekuja hapa like, oh, women are toxic. Women are not toxic. Women have just become empowered. In a way that, nimejiambia I will not be losing my sleep because Dr. Kingori anaingia hao kwa hao 5 o'clock in the morning and you're telling me you've been doing business so that we can put food on the table. A woman amekaa hivi akaona hapana, okay, hata kama unatengeneza pesa, you don't have time for me. So hii haitawezekana. So ideally what I'm trying to say is that what the woman gets in reward is mental health. Sawa. You go into a place where you have accepted that this relationship is not working. Whatever this person is giving you or whatever they promised you at the beginning when you met is not what is happening. As I said, you must get better at the game. Anything that flattens out or remains constant can become very frustrating. Imagine umepanda gari sahi, umeenda umekwama kwa roundabout mahali. Uko na demu yako hapo, hakuna move. I mean, you're gonna get frustrated. So it's the same thing in marriage. Yes. There must be change. Why do people go for holiday? To change the environment, to feel differently. So if this relationship is stuck somewhere, kutakuwa na some damage. Na mimi, sahi pali niko, and also, you know, as we age, unajua tunakuanga, tunasemanga psychologically, a woman is 5 years older, okay, mentally than the man. So if you're 40, and I'm 40, ideally, in science, the scientific whatever, I'm 45.
Why am I getting the vibe here? This thing of changing the environment is a polite name for cheating.
Kweli una represent male child. How many times have we seen men changing the environment?
We'll get
because there is this mentality that society has that it is okay for a man to cheat. You've been having your cake and you've been eating it.
So
Sahi tumeingia sasa sisi wa mama, sisi wanawake. Sasa tumeingia sasa kuwa, we are serving you back. Because if you can go and cheat and tell me you are drunk, ama sijui all these excuses you sijui shetani alikuingilia, so what makes you think that mimi shetani haizi niingililia na pia siwezi katiwa? So it brings in other dynamics. You want to serve me what you cannot eat.
Silas Nyanchwani answered that question very well. Okay, for a man, when a man cheats, and I'm not defending cheating in any way. When a man cheats, for example, the worst he can do is have another child outside. Okay. For a woman, when a woman cheats in that setting, it's worse because it means that's how you end up raising kids that are not yours. Like when a woman cheats, that's possibly the end of your bloodline. When a man cheats, familia bado itaendelea. Does that make sense?
It doesn't make sense.
But is it true? Doesn't it happen?
It doesn't make sense. Wewe umeenda kupeana mtoto huko nje na unasema bado tu familia, your genealogy is going to. So,
but see, both of us, we are enjoying the same genealogy.
Unaweza nini huko nje, basi blea pia wa brother yako, because na yeye amekuja, when you are away cheating, someone came to cheat on your behalf na bibi yako. You see, but I do understand the issue of the genes and all that and passing on that whatever. But the question still remains, why would this woman choose to even do something like that? Like, nimefika a point now, I will say that it is okay. Because if someone is really, can I say, in a good place, or someone who really loves you, atasema, akijifikiria, siwezi taka kufanyia. Imagine ati, nimefanya huyu ale mtoto wa nini. So normally, there's something called vengefulness. And I'll tell you this, na sensei anajua. One of the main reasons women cheat is to revenge. And part of the way they'll revenge, nakwambia utalea watoto wa neighbors. Utawalea, utakuja kukuta when you're 60 ndio unagongwa na heart attack because yes, you're being served right. Let me tell you, and this is naogopa naweza dungwa mishale hapa, but let me say this. I feel that if only relationships were healthy, there'd be that push to have that, deep respect for one another. But even if today I am going to cheat, it will not extend to other things where you understand. I do want to also admit that there are people who are not really stable, who don't care. Kuna personality types, they really don't care. Like, whatever, it happened. I'm not going to abort this child, blah, 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 and I'll have the child. And because there's no other way I can have this child raised, ni wewe tu niko naye na wewe ndio uko na pesa, hizo pesa zako unaendanga meetings, si basi tule mtoto, you see, and they keep it a secret. But the reason why it is done that way is so that even you have the confidence that your generation is inaendelea kipasiwa down, and that confidence will help the family remain stable. Because if I tell you, chances of you also committing suicide, chances of you killing me are very high. So some people also operate from a place of fear. But again, I will ask you, why would a woman do such a thing? Most of the time it is coming from revenge. I'm telling you, revenge inakuanga sweet. Wewe ulienda nimepata message hapo ya Susan. Sijui Njoki, unaniambia Njoki ni workmate. At you're discussing what? Construction. Okay, huyu mwingine ni nani? Alafu mlikutana na Njoki 11 p.m. Okay. So if Simon decides to message me at midnight, why are you having a problem? So what I'm trying to say is that relationship must have this rule. Do to me what you don't want me to do to you. Because sahi, with how things are moving, we are going through, si Gen Z wameamka hapa wametuonesha nini? We are going through evolution. The mind is expanding. Tumetoka Zinjanthropus mode those days. Sahi tunaendekea age ya AI. Si tunaona hapa sijui these dolls, people are buying Samantha and whatever. Things are moving. So if you also don't change how you think and you're stuck to the culture, like the man should cheat, the man should, it's allowed, utakufa because the women are coming. They're growing.
Sawa. So we've still not left the idea of a raw deal. And as much as you defend your gender, kuna vitu that will not settle right. For example, we can all accept that it's very easy for a man of means to marry down than it is for a woman of means to marry down. True or false? Ati a woman aseme categorically, I am jengaing my man, I'm building my man from scratch.
Wako.
Those are outliers.
It's
not even normal.
Let me tell you, there are such women. Let's not really make it. You know what we are doing is we are putting these women who are married to men of means in the limelight, and we are making it look like that is the way of life. Let me tell you, if we are going down to data, you will find that, as long as a woman has trust and confidence in a man, they will build that man. They will build that man. I will say this and nisigonge na mawe. When I met my husband, hakuwa hata na kijiko yake.
Hakuwa na?
Hata kijiko. Tulikuwa tulianza kutafuta vitu pamoja. And that is the story.
But
okay, I think tuseme sasa watu.
You were on the same level. Sisi wewe ulikuwa na. Did you have more money than him?
Well, I don't.
For context.
Unajua sasa, I really don't want to go into the deeper issues, but let me say I was just slightly better. Slightly. Not nisijisifu ati nilikuwa sasa of means. But you see, again, I will go back to now the cultural thing. There's a way we were brought up. You see, right now, my daughter who is in campus, siwezi anza kumwambia ati now mom, ati ukipatana na nini, it's okay. She has not been brought up that way. She knows you get a man mwenye amesha hustle. Yeah, atanaweza nitengenezea kucha si wadachanga sijui how much, like be able to take care. Show me first of all who me, by showing me you can buy for me a wig for 40K. Nini, that is what these kids are being groomed to do and to think. And that's why I'm bringing influence. See, those days again, and I want to say there's always a way of looking at life. We were told that it is okay to get married to the farmer, the whatever, so long as amekupenda. Na unaona kama ni mzuri. And you move on from there. And that is how our parents also were. In as much as when you get into the marriage, the main role of the man is to provide. You see, remember the old days, the woman would take care of the kids. She's a nurturer, okay? So she takes care of the kids, the man goes to fend. But ikakuwa nyinyi mkasema you are overstressed. Sindio hivyo, hiyo ndio sasa, hiyo ndio nini, our mental health is being corrupted. So the women said, okay fine, we can help you. Tukaanza kukua career woman. Sasa sahi mnatulabel as toxic. Where are we toxic when I am going to work so that we can put food on the table? So you see, there's a misconception. People don't get to understand that life will happen based on what you think. Okay? You can decide to marry downward and upward. Whatever happens in between is for you. But if someone will take it up and put it on this, ati nani amewa dem sijua kwa 15 years younger, you see, kuna wale who will be for you, they'll be like, yeah, kwani what is wrong? You see? So what I'm trying to say is that there's a lot that is going on in terms of us being influenced in the way we think. Whether I marry downwards, like in my status, okay, I'm married, but I'm saying, if, for example, if I got a man who was promising me my thoughts, me the way I am, and he's bringing in my needs. You know, everyone has their own special needs.
You will marry them.
Because I can provide. I
have a theory.
Yes.
I have a theory. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. I've been studying trends, and I'm starting to feel like the decline of marriage is traced from the 60s, late 60s, 1967, going downwards, okay? And it is from... okay, let me first of all place my theory on the table. I think men and women are basically just the same. We are just human beings, okay? So now, in this system that we are in, capitalism, most women were oppressed because of the control of resources. But once a woman or a man gets access to resources, the behavior is the same. We want to explore our options naturally, okay? For a man who's been raised with a belief in the traditional idea of what marriage should be, it will be very hard because people have been programmed to oppress women. But you can't, why would you, some people would argue, why would you come from work at the same time and then cook for your husband, wash clothes? Kwanza on Twitter, I'm a big fan of Twitter. I think, I'm a big fan of Twitter. There was a conversation, juicy, me, if a woman cannot wash my clothes, Bana, that's no deal there, no deal. But as in, if this woman has access to resources, your nonsense peleka mbali. You understand? And it's only natural. Okay? So it is in this observation that the more people have access to resources, the more the idea of marriage changes, which makes marriage in the new age a facade.
Sasa, when you have resources, problems look for you. Sawa. When you have money, I'm telling you, other things will begin to make sense. For example, umeenda job, nimeenda job. So why should I come and cook for you?
Exactly what I'm saying.
Because I do see a lot of clients in America. Sasa America, is slightly different. Na pia abuse is normally overrated there. Like, if you can't wash the dishes because you think you're a man, it's enough ground for me to say, enyewe, hii marriage haiko balanced. Unanielewa? So what I'm trying to say is, kama unaona your need, you as my husband, your need is uoshewe nguo, upasiwe, so do provide mpaka ile nilikuwa na provide, and then let me stay at home and do these other petty things that you feel. Because why are the Chinese making for us washing machines? Why are they? Because they are giving us a time. After, why are we getting these cars that are even needed by robots? Why are we getting these robots? So that us guys can be able to continue now progressing and, doing other better things. So wewe unataka nitoke job, nimetoka 7 umeingia 7, wewe uende ujistretch hapo mguu. Sawa, nini vitu zake, siku za gazeti, ukisoma gazeti, mimi and my fragile backbone, na maybe nimekubebea mimba, please. Nianze huko kubendova excuse me. Kuna kitu inaitwanga being human. And being human is knowing that this woman needs this. The role of a man is to support a woman. That is why you have the strength, you have the muscle. I don't have the muscle. So wewe unataka niende nikuoshe nguo, hiyo 7 o'clock nianze kuosha nguo zako, shati yako, nikupasia ati uwezi vaa shati imepasiwa na house girl. Hauwezi kula chakula imeniniwa na house girl. Lakini kwa ofisi unaletwa tu mandazi tumepikwa vibaya na mtu hata hujui alinini. I mean, really, that's why I'm saying our perception is distorted. And if you really want me, and I think that's why we have to define the boundaries, and we need to know what are your needs. Kuna kitabu inaitwa his needs, her needs. Sawa. So at the end of the day, let me tell you, doc, kama haujui mtu wako, na kama when you started you did not know why you're in that marriage, then please don't get into that marriage. Marriage is like ni kama ni legal contract. Initially, what gels you together is love, the attraction, the human. There's a way God has made people to meet and all that. But as you begin to grow together, what keeps you is commitment. Yani, you need to operate this institution like ni ofisi.
Now, for the philosophers who say, that why buy the cow when you can, as in why what do we call, there's a word for it, like why keep the cow when you can buy the milk?
Let them remain with their statement. That's all I can say. Buy the milk and remain with it. But someone else who wants to buy the cow, they will buy. It is about what you're getting. One of the questions we ask people in a counseling room is, what is in it for you? Even when someone is buying a product, anaulizanga, what is in it for you? Siku hizi, wacha nikwambie, shida ingine, sex has become very available. Porn, addiction. We are living in an age where addiction is ruling this world. Tuanze na ya simu, nomophobia. Tuingie ya drugs. Zile drugs siku hizi zimetokezea hata unashangaa. Unaona mtu anakukatia unashangaa. Huyu ako in the... I told you there's a young boy was telling me, like, why aren't you giving me a chance? Na demu yangu anakatiwa na mbabas. Like, si hata mi unipatia chance. Like, najiamini. You understand?
Yes.
Na ukifuatilia tu amevuta mabangi zake. So those addictions pia, people are using drugs to cover up a lot of emotions and they come out. Not badly, I'm not attacking anyone, but sometimes even these celebs, you see them doing stuff, but they are under influence. You get it? So easy addictions, zina predispose people to a lot of issues. And I want to talk about individual issues that distort what they would choose in life. So for example, kama naeza jisort na Arimis, why am I struggling to go and pay dowry? If my needs are being met in that way, I can sort myself. Why? It doesn't make sense.
From an economical standpoint, hebu tukue philosophical kidogo. I love philosophy, right? Let's say umeitishwa dowry ya 3 million. Dowry ya 3 million. Assuming, si umesema what's in it for you. This person, Arimis inakuanga 10 bob, I believe. Sindio?
I think 5 bob. Kuna hata ya 5 bob inakuja kwa sachet.
Exactly. O ya kupima.
Ya kupima.
Hiyo ni ya one touch.
Siku hizi tuko kwa ile economy ya nini.
Exactly. From an economical standpoint, why would you spend 3 million and alafu, and that's minus the children. This 3 million is just the down payment, okay? 3 million. Now you can survive. Okay. I don't even think Arimis, you can buy the company na yo 3 million. Na inakuja na from an economical standpoint. If let's say for example, for context, if sex is what is in it for you for marriage, don't go into it. That's what you're saying. Because from an economical standpoint, cost benefit analysis, Arimis wins. True or false? If false. That's in it for you.
False. You people don't go into marriage because of one thing. And that is why nilisikia mtu mmoja alikuja hapa akasema ali regret because alilipa dowry and then maybe the marriage did not work. So if you are going just for this one thing, it will never make sense for you. And that is why such statements are made. Now, besides pleasure, they're children. So, will Arimis produce for you Arimilets? Are you getting me? We are still in this.
Yeah, exactly.
Sasa, that's why I'm saying, if you're going into that relationship for just one thing, every other thing will never make sense. And that is why you will never commit. But if kabisa weni mtu uko tu sawa na unajua the benefits of being companionship, children, can I say growth? Because sometimes your spouse is your mirror. And many other things. Sometimes, even interviews, I'll tell you that because HR, they ask, are you married? Because it gives them confidence that you can lead a family before we can give you a hierarchy here at work. You see? So, there are so many benefits. But ukikuja tu na kitu moja hivi, out of, it's like these 10 fingers, umekuja tu na nini, you will not marry. You will not invest. But, let me say this. Pia sisi wa Afrika tuache some tuninis. Unaelewa? There is no way you can be asking for dowry for 5 million. And you're seeing these kids let me call them kids, ndio wanaanza maisha. Watatoa wapi 5 million? So they go and borrow so that you feel like it's like you're asking this person, vile nimelea mtoto kutoka whatever age, sasa nirudishie. We need to also change how we do these things. For me, I always say this. I am called to talk in weddings. I always say this. Let the children first grow. And then let them come back and give you the fruit of their labor. But when you put a seed on the ground, na ushaanza kuiprune, itakufa.
Now, we live in an age where some people will be tempted to subscribe to the concept of we are probably experiencing the end of marriage. One of the things, one of the theories that is highly shared nowadays is compared to kitambo. Let's call this oppression of women. Like a woman would be handed over. Kama say, I believe you've heard the rumors that virgins are extinct. So now a woman would be handed to the man, and it will be straight process. Sai, we have Instagram, we have TikTok, whereby we are dealing with the age of attention, okay? And tunasema women are all about attention. So I'll attribute this next concept to my friend, Nick Quach. He posed a question. Like, if you have a woman with 1,000 followers on Instagram, okay? With 1,000 followers. And now, let's say an average of 10 people hit on her in a day, an average of 10 people. Then that means in a year, she gets hit on by 3,650 men in total. That's, we are talking cumulatively. Are you following the mathematics?
I am following.
So the question he posed was, can your woman say no 3,650 times?
Well, let me first ask you a question as a defender of the male gender. Why does it bother you when your wife or your girlfriend is being hit on? Si we ufurahi, at least ulipata kitu imesimama. Kitu iko fine.
That's not a problem.
But why, if you are having an issue or you're worried that by the 3,065th people, your woman would have given in, then it shows you yourself, you know, kuna kitu haufanyi tu sawa.
No, the question does not come from a point of worry.
Vibaya.
The question does not come from a point of worry. The question is, who can say no? Can your woman say no 3,650 times?
Yes, she can.
Statistically.
Depending on how you make her feel. Si kuna ma celebrities, tunaonanga, they post something in 1 hour. Almost. Si hata we ni celeb. How many comments? How many comments? How many people just admiring and say, you know, but tumesikia mahali ati sijui nini. There are people who are stable. So by the time something is happening out of the ordinary, then we will question either maybe the girl herself, maybe out of her personality. Because I want to say this, there are people who are naturally loose. That's a fact. Sawa. So kama we mwenyewe, because of ulipenda na ulienda ukachukua this without doing the investigation, you will get frustrated. But I can tell you confidently that this woman can say no to all those people. Confidently. And I stand to be corrected. But it depends on you, how you make her feel. Because wacha nikwambie, watu ucheat sa ile msimu vitu ni mbaya. Yes. Revenge. Ile uko silent treatment. Sijui ulimfanya nini. And then anaingia kwa inbox anapata those 10 guys. Hapo ndio chats zinaanzanga. Nini. And that is how people end up in the wrong spaces. But if you're constantly, and that's why I say sometimes it's good to know your person. What are her needs? Ask, take her to, you know, sometimes we become so complacent that sasa tunaanza kubehave kama brother and sister. But it is good to know. I remember in our younger years, my better half would take me out and ask me, like, are you okay? Like, is there anything that unaona ni kama sifanyi poa? You see? So people are not really investing in those spaces. And then tunaanza kulipuka sasa social media tiyo, women are toxic, nini. Did you ever take her out? Did you ever ask her how you... Let us stop making this thing like, me, I'm here to, because there are women who actually are credible, and they are, you know, in terms of behavior, I can say they're strong women. But even the strong, Siata Solomon was the strongest and the wisest.
Samson.
Samson.
So technically marriage is a gym. If you're not ready for fitness, emotional fitness, leave.
You cannot get into a marriage and sleep. You cannot, and I repeat it and I will say it. In the beginning, what drives and fuels a marriage and a relationship is love. Kuna kwanga ile msimu you're all over, bae, kidogo si umepost picture, after 5 hours tena picha ingine sijui tuko where, and then now mnaka 1 year unarealize bae aya hata brushing meno and all that. Sasa mnaanza sasa drama. So in that, when now you're growing, it is an issue of committing. Ile nimejiambia, it is for better and for worse. And those vows, let me tell you, zilikuanga zinatengenezwa. Unajua watu wajuangi. In fact, someone told me you and a wedding kuchekelea watu. Because say you're living in a trance, you're in a bubble. Until now, things begin to normalize. And you realize, okay, mzee wangu haendi mahali ati what. And then now the character comes out. So you must now start running that marriage with decorum. It's a I've been married for 20 what years. Sai niko na bwanangu peke yangu kwa nyumba. I commit to be still his. Unaelewa? Because sai there's nothing, as in watoto wako wamesha grow. So nimejicommit, this is my person that I am going to stay with. Without that commitment,
unajua
amwendi mahali.
Nyinyi ni outliers, and I'll explain why. Okay? From your explanation, I believe most of our audience will agree that marriage is 75% suffering. We cannot argue with mathematics, statistics. Now, the last I checked statistics of marriage, only 1 out of 2 marriages are ending in divorce. Unaangalia is half full, sawa. 1 in 2 marriages are ending in divorce. So 50% of the weddings you attend, if you attend 2 weddings, 1 of them is directly ending in divorce. And the figure could be more. You understand? Statistically, this is on record. Okay. So now, someone asked, like, if you were to travel, this airline, in every 10 planes that fly, 5 will crash. 5 will crash. Where do you place your faith? Are you still flying?
It will depend on many things. For example, there are people we say who are mentally strong. So ile wa kaende katambe like tunaenda. Tukifika huko na to drown ni sawa, but mi niko, so ana roll sleeves and they move on. But kuna ule atakuwa like and the way I'm seeing these things, and then now you start even investigating your partner mpaka una whatever. But again, I want to ask you a question, because you have asked me a question. Kwa hiyo research tu ulifanya, what were the main reasons that cause marriages to break? Because we are an ailing society. And number one thing, I want to say this. Kaina najua nitagongwa na mawe.
Sema, hapa we speak our minds.
We are, I think 75% of the men of today are not, first of all, mentally strong. They're succumbing so much to the pressure. And we saw it from the time of COVID, whereby a lot of men, you see, kitambo statistics were, out of every maybe 10 suicides, utakuta, mostly it is, is it like 5? 5 will be men, and men don't threaten. That's what we say. Akisema atajiua, unaelewa? And women, they do it for attention seeking. It's a way of manipulation. But during COVID, you saw a lot of men, hapo ndo sasa mlishikana community now to start saying the toxicity. Because what? Because of what? Because of why? Now, COVID came with its own pressure. And the number one thing that has been found, according to research, to break a marriage is finances. And I want to say this. Wacha vile unafanya hivyo. I want to say this. Hizo finances, the reason why they break, they're the deal breakers, is because initially when you're sitting down with your partner and deciding to settle down with them, you never set the standards. So we have an issue of met expectations. Mi tukikujuana ulikuwa umeniambia wewe ndio ule mse, you're the alpha, wewe ndio utaprovide, umenionyesha unakuanga na mabiashara, ma investment. So me I know hii marriage nikiingia hakuna ma stress, hakuna ma pressure, mimi kuzaa, ku receive my husband nini. Then after the marriage things change, unaanza kuniambia niko na shida, while you at the beginning you set a different standard. So even in terms of psychology, tunasemanga anything that changes so fast has the ability to traumatize you. It damages you psychologically. So the same thing happens in the marriage. So hiki tunakuja ati we were here and then it also causes damage. And that is where the woman says, hii sitaweza. Ati, you're telling me to pay for what? That is not what we discussed. So at the point where people are deciding to settle, let people lay down the standards. Tengeneza vitu vizuri. Ndio mtu akiingia anajua, okay, my hubby amesema tutakuwa hivi, I'm okay with it. But unakuja unachange baadaye. This woman will not take it.
Are you saying, why can't it be smooth? Like, why can't it be a vision? Why can't it be, it's good vibes to the end? Why does marriage come with so many disclaimers?
You know, angels are in heaven. Kuna kitabu nilisoma ilisema, only angels live in heaven. So, we are not angels and we can never be perfect. Ukitaka tu marriage, ni vile tu, monks wanakuanga wako celibate. But mkitaka tu marriage work, achaneni basi na kazi, move back to the Garden of Eden. Mkulange lives, you don't have any stress ya magari, mafuel, sijui business meetings, sijui mumeenda kusocialize. You're in that space where there is harmony. Okay. But as long as we are living in a world that is changing, and there are so many pressures, let me tell you, it is either we adjust or we die.
Okay. Have you interacted with the phrase sexual market value?
I've not, but I think I know what it means.
But
you can elaborate. Yes.
Nasemekana women are in their prime around the age of 18 to 25. In fact, 25 they should be already have with settled down by 28. And Amerix recently got in trouble, or should I say NTV got in trouble for airing the views by Amerix that any woman above 30 and unmarried is a red flag. It's the conversation of men.
Naona nicheke sijui ni ati just repeat again. Men, you will intoxicate her with your toxic statement. Okay. So any woman who has not been married by 30, you're a red flag.
So they say.
Wewe unaweza impregnate a woman from what age? No, wacha kucheka. Let's deal with this. Tukuje tu pole pole. Wewe kama you've not impregnated a girl by 23, wewe hujakuwa mbaba by 25. Aren't you a red flag? How will I know that you can even sire a child? So why is this attention being brought to the women and we are busy also going through evolution? I can have decided not to get a child because I am studying. So, my God, are you serious? Red flag. Haya, wacha hivyo. Uko 30 na uko na mtoto. Then the question is, na mbona uliachwa? What do human beings want? Mutatumaliza hapa. So, by 30 umetuwekea sasa lazima watu wakwe
nimesema so they say.
Wamepata watoto. That is just a perception. Let me tell you, a woman will decide, and let me tell you, the body has its own way of choosing. Nani anaitwa Sensei alisema vizuri sana. Yes, a woman has a way of going for the best seeds at the right time. So kama hajaolewa by 30, hajapatana na the best seed. Wacha kusema ati maneno ya red flag. Which red flag? It can be by choice. It can be, mutatumaliza. So if that is the statement, then by 25, let the men also have, wakuwe impregnate. Tukue tunajua sasa, nani, at least, ukienda kufanya negotiations, hata akona evidence, akona mtoto uko nje. Let's equalize. Because I feel there's so much being said about the women, and we are leaving the man to just be free with all the excuses.
From this, you say it's about choice, okay? One of my favorite ideas is a concept by Barry Schwartz, inaitwa paradox of choice, okay? And just to give context, it's the idea that more is actually less. The more options you have, the less you will appreciate what you settle with. Okay? So in the age of attention, the argument, just to break it down, nasema, if you have an option between 3 men, you're likely, like there's a set number, uko sawa. But at a certain point, you'll appreciate less what you settled with, because you'll always have the feeling of, if something happens hapa, you'll have like, I could have gotten better. Ningepata kitu ingine. I would have gotten something else, okay? It's natural. It's a natural feeling. So that's why, and I think in the context of dating and marriages, it breaks down inakuja kwa, people, instead of solving issues in a relationship setting, they would rather leave to go look for a better option, right? I believe this can be attributed to why marriages are not working and why most people are opting not to get into marriage or relationships or long-term relationship engagements, because you always feel that there is something better to come.
More is less.
Yes.
And less is more. Choices have consequences. I will say this. Na mutanigonga na mawe mtadeni, let me tell you, it is a perception of the mind. Doc, it is a perception of the mind. Because at the end of the day, kukiwa na shida na nikatae kuenda kwa counselor. Nianze kuchat na Bay, mwenye alikuwa ananikatia 5 years ago. What is missing here? Why aren't I discussing the issues with my man? Why would I want to take my things out there in an unsafe space? Na najua huyu mtu kabisa ananitaka. But nimekuwa kwa hiyo like, if I deal with nini itakuwa hivi. It is a perception, let me tell you. That mimi nimekata hiyo statement. More is less. Hakuna kitu kama hiyo. Unless kukuelewa vizuri.
Tuambie ukweli. You've been married, all your kids now. The youngest ameshafika campus?
It's 15, yeah. No, it's 15 from 3.
15 from 3 years. So now, in the circle of men nowadays, I'm just presenting arguments. I'm a messenger, okay?
Okay.
So now, there's common, and I think because it's our most recent episode, Silas Nyanchwani also said very interesting things. Bishop, make sure umekea watu link ya Silas Nyanchwani hapa so that anyone who missed it aione hapa kwa the cards hapa juu. So now, when unapata, he says, and I believe both of them agree, Silas Nyanchwani and Jacob Badiet, agree that they conform to the idea that any woman in a relationship anakuanga na squad ya waiting bay. Like when the main guy messes up, they'll slide right in.
That
right?
is true.
A good option, right? So, that is true.
Most. And it is based on today's way of doing things.
You've been married for long.
Yes.
How far into the marriage do you let go of the guys who are waiting bay?
Ati my God, ni unanianika hapa ati sasa my husband.
No, I just want to know that. Nikitambo, it's a long time ago.
Let me say this. That comes with the confidence you have with your partner.
And this confidence is built over time.
It is built over time. But I want to say this. You will find that a lot of the women who are in relationship and are talking to other men, it's just from a place of getting an assurance. Ile tu kuflat. And I think either Elliot or Silas said it. It is just ile, you're getting what your husband will not give you in terms of flirting with you and all that, yeah? But it is not a must that, you go out, you go overboard in terms of, sexual intimacy. All right. So the more assuring your man is, the shorter the period. Remember, hata saa ile umekuwa engaged, ndio sasa wanaume wanakuwa wengi. There's something about, I think nilikatiwa more when I got my wedding ring than before. It's like now when you get married, uko kwa market. Why? Even right now, someone who will approach a married woman knows you're playing a very dangerous game. So you stand to lose, I stand to lose, especially where this man is married and you're also married. So Nile, you have to keep it a secret for the safety of both of you. Are you getting me? So it's mind games that people play. Right now, most people prefer to cheat with people who are married because at the end of the day, you can pull certain strings to make things go your way. Oh, humanini, okay. Wacha nitumane, wacha ni kuexpose kidogo. You see, but when it comes to that, how far do you let go? I believe there's no time frame. It is when you feel safe. And I want to underline and say this. You will still have your two ex-boyfriends chatting you, and you will probably just engage like maybe hata umejishikilia tu, you're just being courteous, but you don't go to those deep levels of having, engaging with them. All right. But depending on how the marriage goes going forward, you can slip back. Okay. And that is where people get caught up. And that is why you're seeing marriages are not lasting, because at some point, sasa, uliona hii pande kumechacha. So you went back to your ex who you believe you trust, and then vitu zika kwa exposed.
And again, you are somehow confirming some of the things Jacob said. Like what you just said right now, he outrightly said that most people, if not all, in a long-term relationship will cheat at some point. It's almost given. Because human beings have no capacity of that level of consistency.
The cheating, yes, I agree with Elliot, might happen. But it is not a must that it happens. It might happen based on, I will put it as the climate of the marriage.
Climate.
And I want to say this, and I want to underline, wale watadigonga wanigonge. I believe the role of the man in making the marriage work is so much so that if he doesn't do the basic, because nani alisema vizuri Jacob, the number one need of a woman is what? Affirmation and love. Assurance. Sasa, if you're not really bringing that to the table, I might be in that marriage, but my needs are being met by someone else.
So you're saying, unajua, that could be interpreted to mean that the responsibility to make a marriage work is exclusively the role of
Not
a man.
exclusively, because ukinipenda lazima nikupende, si ndio? If you, in fact, the Bible puts it so well, that it says that the man ought to love his wife as Christ loved the church. And then the woman is supposed to submit. Did you know that love makes a woman submit? Did you know that? Ebu angalia wale wanawake wako na wanaume toxic. Uone vile wanakuanga vichwa ngumu. Au ndo wanakuchukua visu ati umeniletea ati you're cheating on me. When you get it, love shapes out, it makes her submit. It's a natural process. But when you remove that love, then toxicity checks in. Remember, it's a void. So what comes in? Kitu tu umesema sahi, choices vis-a-vis consequence. So what are we filling this cup with? Is it going to be love, or is it going to be the opposite of love? When there's no love, there's hatred. Now when there's hatred, there's disrespect. And disrespect is now where I decide, oh, unani treating hivyo, sasa, let me revenge. Utalea mtoto wa neighbor.
Gopi, like why would you subscribe to such an idea, especially now in the era that people are so woke? Why would you dare get a man to raise a child that's not his and they can do DNA immediately after the kid is born? Like, is that a risk worth taking?
Let me tell you, even for a man, in this day and age, najua hata nasikia Silas alisema it is very cheap and people will even be buying a test kit. Yes, we are it's good. We are going towards that age. But think of it this way. You are coming home, you're telling me now, doc, sasa tuende tufanye DNA check. Yani, tuanzie tu hapo. The first question is like, what do you think of me? Like, already trust is broken. So even if that has to be done, let it be done within a decorum. I love what he said, because at some point with the 60-year-old, alisema, sijui he wanted to check who's going to donate a kidney or something. And then after the test up on you. And that is something that happens to many people. Like in your older age, uko na watoto wako and even grandchildren. And then you go for a test and then you realize like, wow, imagine me and my nini, we are not actually blood. You know, it happens. But there's a way why our parents used to do it. At the end of the day, it is revenge. Why someone would subscribe to such a mentality is because I want to hit back at you in a way you will never forget. In a way you will never forget. Unajua kitu moja, wanaume mnakuanga wajanja. But I'm telling you, and mi upendanga sana Biblia. Nimekwambia kitu moja. There's someone who was shaved. There's a man who was just nini akaona bibia mtu, bibia nani huko ya chief general anaoga.
David.
Pia yakaanguka. You understand? So what I'm just trying to say is a woman can literally tear you down.
And a woman will make you raise children for 40 years and she will not say
60.
anything and she will make sure you know.
Even 60.
She will make sure you know.
The recipe here is love. Penda tu bibi yako atakurespect, atakutreat tu poa. Unless akuwa mental, I am telling you, you will never have to deal with a heart attack, CV, whatever. Lakini wewe unajifanya mjanja. There's a time someone came akaniambia, you know, my husband comes, tena mnaenda mnakunywa, you become drunk. Na mvute bangi zenyu. You come home, you're high like a kite, hata ujui what is happening. Hiyo kidole yako ndio itafungua hii simu. See you out, umechu blackout. Mtu anaenda tu through all the messages, anajitumia. And she will not, ukiona mwanamke amenyamaza, fear. When a woman keeps quiet, because naturally women nag, naturally women express themselves. By the time nakwambia, I don't like this, where are you? I'm all concerned, I'm all over you. At least be happy that the love is still there. The day a woman keeps quiet is the day you get worried. And worst of all is when she's quiet and then she becomes pregnant. You know where that is going.
Allah. And you can't bring up the question
na
of
wezi anza
DNA.
kubring up the utaletaje? Utaanzaje hiyo conversation?
Then
Na wewe pia uko na wako huko nje. Utaanzaje? Because let us be fair here.
Then,
if you have paved the way, if you have modeled for me as my leader, if this marriage is like an organization, wewe ndio CEO. Sawa? Umeekana huko mimba nje. Ni nini unakuja kuniuliza? Juu nimezalia mtu mwingine. Hiyo kitu wacha tu equalize. Black, yani tunasemanga light and darkness.
She equalize.
Hapana,
No,
tukutanie. Unajua hata siso ndo ibalance. Lazima uweke 5 kilos hapa 5 kilos. So wewe umeenda umeka 5 kilos, unataka nitembe na 1 kilo. Hapana, let me serve you.
Me, I subscribe to. Let's
You
equalize.
have taught me.
No, let's equalize on the table. Don't go sneaking around. Let's equalize on the table. Kuja kama wewe ukweli unajitambua. Let's equalize on the table.
Mimi sielewi hii concept ya unaona tu it is rightful ati ulienda nje ukateleza. Mimi siwezi teleza. To be honest, I'm not human. I am not made of wood. Nah. The same way uliteleza, pia mimi nitateleza tu kwa hiyo floor.
Okay. Yeah. Silas said something that monogamy is the problem. He said monogamy was a construct of the church so that weak people can also taste something. Sijui kama umesikia hiyo. He says this is where the problem comes in because ideally in a polygamous setting, everybody, because apparently some people argue that you guys are more than us, okay? So hata hii story ya cheating, it is the society pressuring men to conform to what they are not. Ideally, in the traditional African setting, polygamy had been accepted, okay? And people lived peacefully, okay? And yes, actually, people lived peacefully, kabisa. So, hii ingine yenye iko hapa ni selfishness that went overboard, don't you think?
Let me say this because I want to be sensitive to cultures that have actually allowed the polygamy. Yes. And I know there's a time sijui kulikuwa kukue na conference sijui ya men who are thinking of becoming polygamous. There were even posters. What I want to say, let me just explain the concept behind it. Anytime there's variety, you know, it brings in competition. So you must sell yourself so that someone can prefer you. Sindio?
Yes.
Kitambo, when probably maybe one brand of car was the one that was on the road, people did not have many options. But sai, for people get value for what they can afford, because there is variety. So it is the same thing that, you know, happens within the marriage or the relationship setup. When you know uko na competition pale nje, you try and sell yourself more. And how do you sell yourself more? By trying to be better. Because maybe sometimes, I know men will say, oh, me, I went to cheat because my wife is rude, my wife is lazy, my wife, they're all these excuses. But now, in that setup where probably this lazy person or this whatever, they tend to improve. I see it in marriage where people come and they decide, okay, fine, tuliteleza, but we are working on ourselves. So, wewe, mwenye mtelelezi, sijui mtelelelezo, you know, you decide, okay, I am going to work on myself so that we can keep this marriage. So whatever your weakness was, now you need it. Because umekuja kurealize, you're not the only fish in the pond. Kuna wengine wako pale. So now you want to really bring yourself out as the alpha in that pool. You get it? So it might be a good idea, but I also feel it kills the man faster. That is what I, because imagine the way the concept that men have that women are nagists. So unaenda kwa wife A, anakuambia na kukelelesha na unasema hapana, hii leo silali hapa, wacha niende kwa wife B. Wife B anakujia na nini? You're just a single man who is trying to, you know, take care of all these women. What is left of you? And if you are a cake, umekulwa na wanawake watano, by year 5 utakuwa nini? Skeletons. So sometimes people also need to. But that wasn't the case for our the generations that came before. You see, it was there, and it's only that people. Let me tell you, I have been in situations where I am able to observe a man who has many, or even many women, let me put it that way, and someone who is nini. Huyu ana contain, in terms of stress anaweza contain, juu ana deal na mtu mmoja. Huyu mwingine, he has a complex situation. Think of it, your money must be divided into 5 women. So sometimes it's good to have wisdom. Ask yourself if you're able, if you have what it takes to be able to take care of these people that you think, because it's not just about intimacy. Utaweza ingia hapo ati because unajua mwingine ananitukananga, sijui watoto. Okay, you will get someone to pamper your ego. But is she coming with other demands? Yes. Atakuzalia watoto 5. Ule mwingine alikuzalia 4. So by the end of the nini, you have 50 children. Na unasema the world is standing against you. No. It is your mind. You did not want to deal with this one wife, this one problem that she brought. You decided you're escaping. That is what we call escapism, where you try to deal with issues by running away from them. So you run to wife number 2, anaanza na zake after a few years, unaenda kwa until pale umesikia limited. And then one day, you're asking your children, you're who? From which wife? Okay. You understand? So people need to have wisdom in how they want to deal with issues. It is not about fashion. It is not about pressure. It is about you as an individual. I will say this, and allow me to put this on the table. I own a rehab, okay? And statistically, 75% of my clients are male in gender. Sawa sawa. And out of this 75%, do you know 50% or more come from broken homes? They come from broken homes. Like the trauma happened where these parents parted ways. Na huyu mtoto sasa akaingia kwa drugs and they will tell you it is because of 1, 2, 3. The day they open up, they will tell you it is because of 1, 2, 3. So what I always say is sometimes think also of the damage that you're creating around the children. Because what is the main reason of bringing up these children? Don't you want them to also live up to your legacy? Why damage them? Because you cannot try and deal with the issue. I know there are times where things are so bad. Like personally, I don't support violence in a marriage. Mtu akikuja na kesi ya violence, I just tell you, my dear, this is it. I will not, because at the end of the day, if I don't ask you to leave, you will be killed there. So how have we won that battle? So at the end of the day, let me tell you, Dr. Kingori, lazima watu wajifikiririe. Start from the point where you want to get into the relationship. Create your own vision and your plan, okay? And know why you are in that relationship and what you want out of it. And if you want children and you want these children to come out and turn out well, you must learn to have mental muscle. And how do we get that mental muscle? There is no marriage
Okay.
that is perfect. There's a time I was invited in another whatever and I talked about myself. How many times I had been parking. Siku moja my dad aliniambia, in fact the first time nilipark, aliniambia umekuja hapa kufanya nini? Na vile ulitoka hapa na sijui limo. Unajua mpaka sasa napewa heshima because this was the biggest wedding in this place. So vile utafanya utapark utarudi kwako. That was how us guys were. You know, you could not leave a marriage. And the more I was shaped to know that I can deal with my problems, the more I have heightened my ability to look for help in the right places.
Okay.
Where are people currently looking for help? In those male groups. Wewe uko damaged, umeenda umekaa na sijui Simon na nani, who are equally damaged like you. How will you help each other? You will just start talking about how all these women are toxic. Hiyo ndio itakuwa topic. But let's replay this. What if you did not go and sit down with these other damaged men and you went and sat down with a shrink? No mwambie, this is the situation. And then the first thing she tells you is, you are not alone. And this is not new to the marriage journey.
Okay.
The good thing is that you can get help. Okay. You see, and you start working progressively. Because at the end of the day, musemanga better the devil you know than the angel you think that is out there. Afadhali mtu umegrow na yeye unajua fault zake, huyo kasirika, you know, ni spend thrift ni whatever, but you can work around it so long as you're committed to it. Okay. The only time I will tell people to walk out of the marriage is when they overuse. Unajua musemanga it's usage and then inakuwa abuse. Use and then abuse. You know, when it comes now to a place where you're psychologically abused, you're, you know, physically abused, and I mean, basically, there's no other way out. But until you get to that point, try. Because ule mtu mwingine utaenda tu kumit, utatoka utaenda kwa mtu mwingine. Si atakuja tu na shida zake. There is no one who is perfect. If only we had the right perception to life. If only we dealt with things in a realistic way and stop complaining. Toxicity. I mean, see people kunywa vitu toxic. By the time people are getting blind, sijui, si hizo vitu ni toxic. So if you can ingest toxic things, then huyu mwenye unadilai ni nini unataka kuhepa kutoka kwake?
Unajua, I believe internally, you leave us with a debate, and I'm very interested kusikia our team members Peke na Maggie wataenda wapi kwa hii debate, and I wanna see that. So but okay, first things first. Bishop, ekea watu hapa a conversation ya Ambassador Dr. Wallace Williams, a link specifically about a concept and which he qualifies. Don't marry for love. Okay? Link iko hapa in case you missed it. So he qualifies the statement that love cannot sustain the so-called marriage. And it's very true. Because I find this idea again in an explanation ya happiness. Yeah? Like there's a difference between passionate love, companionate love. Wale watu unaona wamekaa pamoja 50 years nini, companionate love. Passionate love, moto ya makaratasi, dies out after 6 months nini. You're bored, you want to move on to other things, okay? And Dr. Wallace qualifies the statement very well. It's a longer conversation, but I'll summarize, okay? He says that the only marriages that work are those that are strategic alliances. You're married for a bigger picture beyond, oh, I like you, you look good. And I have started subscribing to that in terms of deliberateness. Like, let's tujitafute, let's know, like, do our goals align? Do we, kuna path fulani tunafuata so that hizi vitu zingine can be details. They can't shake the so-called idea of a marriage.
I agree totally. And I want to just, can I say, emphasize that, yes, you cannot, love will never sustain a marriage. Remember what I said. At the beginning, the way things happen is you get attracted to one another so that you can now get into the relationship. It's a way of making you settle in that institution. But going forward, it cannot be love that will sustain. It is commitment. Commitment ile unajua, this is my husband, this is the person I choose to share my nakedness with, this is the person that I have chosen to have children with. But ukianza maneno ati ya love kwanza ziko, kuna agape ile ya I love you. Si watu nasikianga siku hizi, people are very nini, oh I love you, unaongea na mtu kwa simu akishamaliza I love you. ujui kama is with the love of God or whatever. But when it comes to romantic love, I want to put it in this way. Let us use the pill because taki kutumia ugali or whatever, whereby the doctor prescribes for you this pill. And this pill, you must take it for as long as you are alive. So imagine at the first time you take it, you feel good and all that. But with time, even you seeing that pill, it doesn't change you. But because of the fact that you remember the doctor has said you must take it, then you continue taking that pill. So it's the same thing. The fact that you have decided to be in this marriage, you will continue being with that person because you have made the choice to do it. Otherwise, utaachia katikati. Utakuja sasa, oh, I don't like this nini. Siku hizi hata inanga effects kwangu. Season vitu wanasema, oh, she doesn't turn me on nowadays. Oh, sijui amekuwa hivi. We get many excuses. But as long as you to what you were saying, strategy and commit, I'm telling you, you will get to the sunset years of the marriage. And let me say this, Dr. Kingori, as you grow within the marriage with your partner, you also go through change. You also go through change. Inafikanga a point, that person makes you rediscover yourself. Yani umepitia uchungu umelia, yani umeita Mungu, paka sasa now you start thinking, how can I make myself still thrive in this marriage and not sin? Because kuna hiyo ya escapism and not sin. How can I be a better person? How can I work? Because sometimes, you find that people come and say, oh, I don't feel like we are aligned. No. Maybe you're a corporate guy. Mimi ni mama wa mboga. So I find you like to be arrogant. Unaelewa? Mi sielewi hiyo kizunguzungu yako. So you find like, this guy intimidates me and I don't just feel like we gel very well. So at the end of the day, if for me, I can stop what I do if it's not my area of passion, or work and get to that place whereby we can have the same level of thinking, I am telling you the marriage. So it can grow you. A marriage, actually a good and healthy marriage grows you. Okay. As opposed to it giving you pain. Siku hizi kuna msiseme wanawake ni toxic. Wanawake wanalia, wanawake wanaoneshwa wanakula chumvi, I'm telling you. Wanaoneshwa dust huko. But the man will always come out to look like, oh, but I'm doing my duties. She's the one who is toxic.
Dust is constant
and that's
on
why I say
for both genders.
We must listen to both stories. Because hii kitu sahi, I feel like now this thing of men being needed imekuwa tu sana. But we also need, in as much as yes, we are support, and me, by the way, as a counselor, I remain neutral. But at the end of the day, we must deal with these things in a realistic way. And most of the things I'm presenting here are coming from a place of having dealt with so many cases, so many people, especially in that marriage, because I'm a marriage counselor, where you're feeling like this person came and gave one side. Kuna story nataka kushare hapa. And without mentioning names, there's a lady who came in akaniambia, oh, doc, my husband is a pastor. Tuanzie hapo. Number 2, anakuanga worship. So ni pale hizo marabazama whatever, yeye ndio akianza kuongea hizo lugha anaongea. But this guy masturbates. Sawa? And she has caught him many times masturbating. Then on top of that, anachukuanga mtoi anampeleka kwa sijui nani, sijui kama ni best friend ama whatever. You get it? So tell me, if you have not touched me in 6 months, in 1 year, am I a stone? Am I a shell? Utalia mtoto wa neighbor.
But
because wewe unajisort, uko na options. Uko na rimis, sawa? Uko na base yako huko umetag, sijui ni prayer worship ama worship whatever. Mara sijui ni colleague mnaongea construction and whatever. So mimi umeniacha niteseke, nilie nikuwe nauliza Mungu wangu. You're asking God questions that are unnecessary. Like, why am I? So where a woman now discovers this is abuse is where now things take a different turn. Pastor. And that is now where I say we are not perfect. I intentionally brought the issue of the pastor because kuna ile notion watu nakuanga nayo like, church is that kanini. These problems, I'm telling you, the church has issues. In fact, I can tell you, most people in churches have these marital issues. I've seen, in fact, nowadays, if we can get statistically, a lot of people in churches are divorcing, including pastors themselves. We have seen it even on social media. So the thing is, let us not really get it wrong. For anything to work, there must be a system. It takes a process. And these things work with time. But overall, let's remember there are feelings involved. So are these feelings rational or irrational?
Okay.
Yes.
Masturbation is such a strong word in that story. Sijui kama tunaweza replace with a selfie. So now, nitambia audience yetu, please, we have engaged, tuka agree that we need to call Jacob Aliet for a live. Peke atatusaidia ku set up a live session so that our audience can ask questions directly. We deal with this easy to real time. So on our side, we have Jacob Aliet, tuko na Silas Nyanchwani. Please, for balance, kina Bishop na Magi na Peke wata decide how we can execute a round table ndio kukuwe na balanced conversation ya questions coming live from our audience na wajibu.
I am on, you know why? Because we need to save relationships. I feel the reasons why things are taking a different turn is because people don't have the knowledge. They do not also have the assurance. They do not also, understand.
Okay.
What it takes to have a strong marriage. So wacha zikuje, I know tuko hapa, but yes, tutajitayarisha.
Okay.
Yes.
Sawa. Na audience yetu pia inaweza tusaidia kunominate someone who can support your side, because niko sure a lot of things umesema watu watachemshana nazo. So we will combine
Uchemka ni poa. We say as in terms of personalities, kuna watu wa fire, kuna watu wa water, kuna watu wana representing earth, kuna watu wa wind or air. Unaona?
Yes.
So when we sit down tutakuwa wanne, we will have those things come out. And let me tell you, I like it.
Utahitaji moral support. So
me hata mlete tu maji hapa. Me I will as in like I'll come. As in like I am ready for this. Hata saa ingewezekana, I am ready for this. Why? We need to save these relationships, and we need to make people become empowered when it comes to relationships.
Okay.
Yes.
So you also offer marriage counseling services.
I do.
So the person we need to make sure gets this message. Bishop, number ya Venas Cheno on how people can reach her for rehab services. Na kwa hapa, if you're not seeing any number on your screen now, we are collectively blaming Bishop. If this debate does not happen soon, na hii inamaanisha by mid-December, they should have set it up. Peke na Magi. Tuweza iachia hapo. Asante sana for your time.